Welcome to the Ragman tutorial. In this video, you will learn the full choreography for the drama Ragman, broken down step by step. Like our other DRIME tutorials, the choreography is divided into sections. Each section includes a training portion, where movements are taught slowly without music, followed by a practice portion, where the choreography is done up to speed with music. Feel free to pause the video at any time to practice, or go back to review a section already learned. For today's tutorial, Lame will be performed by Addie, Weeper by Margaret, Jesus will be performed by Eli, and Blind by Sheldon. This video is mirrored, which means when the actors move their right hand, you should also be moving your right hand. You will also need a cloth for this drama that Weeper holds. Before you assign roles to your team, here is the full drama with music. Now that you have seen what each character does in the drama, pause the video and assign roles to your team. All characters begin upstage with their backs to the audience, heads down, feet together, and standing shoulder to shoulder. For the first 3 measures, or 12 counts, everyone remains completely frozen. On beat 1 of the next measure, the first chime, Weeper slowly lifts her head. On beat 1 of the following measure, Weeper turns to the left to face the audience and begins stepping forward to stand directly behind Jesus. As she walks, she wipes her rag gently under her eyes to show that she is crying. After 8 beats, Weeper freezes with the rag under her left eye. Let's do that section once without music. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, here it is with music. On beat 1, the second chime, Lame slowly lifts her head. On beat 1 of the next measure, she turns to the left and grabs her right knee. Lame limps diagonally past Weeper towards stage left, clutching her leg with an expression of pain, as if there is a shooting pain every time she puts weight on it. She has 8 counts to reach her position. Once there, she freezes, still holding her leg. Let's practice that without music. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now with music. On beat 1, the third chime, Blind slowly lifts his head. On beat 1 of the next measure, he turns to the right for 4 counts and begins walking diagonally towards stage right for 12 counts. Blind holds his hands directly in front of him, feeling his way forward. His movements should show fear and frustration, walking cautiously, unsure of what is in front of him. To enhance the appearance of blindness, Blind should lock his eyes on a single point in the audience. After the 16 counts, Blind freezes with his hands lifted in front of him. Let's practice that without music. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. At this point, Weeper, Lame, and Blind should be in a triangle shape, with Jesus still behind Weeper. Weeper, Lame, and Blind should be about 5 or 6 feet apart from each other. Let's watch that section with music. On the first measure of this section, all characters are frozen. On beat 1 of the second measure, marked by the symbols, Jesus slowly lifts his head. On beat 1 of the next measure, Jesus turns to the right to face the audience and look at his children for another 4 counts with empathy and love. In the next measure, on different chimes in the music, Jesus reaches toward each character with compassion, starting with Blind, then Lame, and ending with Weeper. Now, follow along as we practice this section with music. For the Jesus and Weeper section, blind and lame will step out so you can see the movements better. On beat 1, Jesus turns towards stage left and lifts both hands towards heaven in prayer for 4 counts. In the next measure, he lowers his hands and turns back toward Weeper. On beat 1 of the third measure, Jesus puts his right hand on Weeper's left shoulder and opens his left hand in front of Weeper's face. For the next 8 counts, Jesus repeats the prayer movement, lifting his hands towards heaven and then lowering them as he turns back to Weeper. On beat 1 of measure 6, Jesus puts his right hand back on Weeper's shoulder and gently and quickly pulls the rag from her hands. Weeper reacts with joy and wipes away her tears. For the next 4 counts, Jesus and Weeper hug. When they separate, Jesus holds his right arm straight out to the side and his left arm bent, hand pointing to the right in front of his chest. For the next 8 counts, Jesus lifts both arms and circles them in a complete rotation, ending in the same position. As the circle completes, Weeper smiles at Jesus and walks upstage, ending with her back to the audience while Jesus turns downstage. Now, follow along as we practice this section with music. For the next 8 counts, Jesus begins to cry with Weeper's rag and walks toward lame. On beat 1 of the next measure, Jesus kneels to examine lame's injured leg. In the next 8 counts, Jesus stands, turns toward stage right, and lifts his hands in prayer for 4 counts, and then kneels again to face lame. Jesus hovers his hands at lame's injured leg and pumps his arms 4 times while lame lifts her leg 4 times. The final leg lift is bigger and includes a small jump for lame. Lame reacts with joy and smiles at Jesus as Jesus stands. In measure 7, Jesus and lame hug. Jesus sends lame upstage in the same way as Weeper for 8 counts, as lame smiles at Jesus. Lame walks to stand in line with Weeper, slightly more than an arm's length away, with her back to the audience. Now, follow along as we practice this section with music. Jesus now takes on lame's burden, limping, in addition to crying. On count 1, he stumbles and grabs his left leg, then walks toward blind for 8 counts, wiping his tears as he goes. On count 1 of the next 8 count, Jesus puts his right hand on blind's left shoulder and then opens his left hand in front of blind's face 3 times, on the high piano notes. Jesus then turns and takes a few steps towards stage left, still limping. On counts 1 and 2 of the next 8 count, he lifts both hands in prayer and lowers them on counts 3 and 4 as he stumbles back to blind. Counts 5 and 6, he puts his right hand back on blind's left shoulder. On the high piano notes, Jesus again opens his left hand in front of blind's face 3 more times. As the music gets louder, Jesus turns once more towards stage left to pray, raising his arms and then lowering them. On beat 1 of the next measure, at the cymbals, Jesus throws both arms outward toward Blind's eyes to heal him, making sure that he is still showing the pain in his leg. Blind immediately reacts with amazement, looking at his hands in wonder. They hug for 4 counts. Jesus sends Blind upstage to stand to the left of Weeper, an arm's length away, with his back to the audience. Now, follow along as we practice this section with music. Jesus now takes on blindness, in addition to crying and limping, and begins stumbling backward. For 12 counts, Jesus stumbles upstage and ends directly behind Weeper. As he arrives, Jesus looks upward toward his Father, accepting the plan for 4 counts. On beat 1 of the next 4 counts, Jesus drops the rag and prepares to be crucified. On count 1 of the next 8 count, Jesus grabs Weeper's wrists, as Weeper's hands are in fists. Jesus lifts both of their arms to form the cross. Each actor stops once their arms are at 90-degree angles. Jesus puts his hands in fists once they are raised. On beat 1, Jesus opens his right hand, showing it nailed to the cross. On beat 1 of the next measure, he opens his left hand. On beat 1 of the next measure, he reacts as his feet are nailed. For measure 6, Jesus shows pain and suffering as he hangs on the cross. See our how-to video, Crucifixion and Resurrection, for tips. On beat 1 of the final measure, Jesus dies, dropping his head and hands. Weeper takes the full measure to lower her arms. Now, follow along as we practice this section with music. On count 1 of the next measure, lame and blind turn toward Jesus, and Weeper steps upstage to move out of the way. They grab one of Jesus' wrists with one hand and support his shoulder with the other. Pause now to watch our how-to video, Raising and Lowering Jesus. They take 2 full measures to lower him to the ground and kneel beside him. Lame brings Jesus' arm to his side. Blind bends Jesus' other arm under his forehead, and Weeper kneels on Jesus' right side. For the next 8 counts, all 3 mourn and weep over Jesus. Now follow along as we practice this section with music. On beat 1 of the next measure, Jesus breathes. Over 8 counts, he slowly rises to his knees. The others stop crying, staring in shock, which turns into joy as they realize Jesus is alive. As Jesus slowly stands over the next 8 counts, He shows the scars on his hands. As Jesus is standing, Blind moves to kneel in front of Jesus, so the group forms a semicircle. All characters kneel on one knee facing Jesus. In measure 6, all 4 characters lift both hands for 4 counts, as Jesus looks up to heaven and the other characters look up at Jesus in praise. Everyone holds their pose for another 4 counts. To end the drama, weeper, lame, and blind lower their arms and bow before Jesus for 8 counts. To lower their arms, they will turn their palms down, bend their hands at their wrists, twist their hands inward until palms are facing up, and then lower their arms. Imagine you are flipping over a piece of paper. All characters remain in their final position as the music fades. Now, follow along as we practice this section with music. And that is the end of Ragman. Now is a great time to return to the beginning of the video and practice the full drama with music, and to review sections as needed. Thanks for learning this drama. We are praying that God uses Ragman to reveal Jesus and his compassion to people around the world through you.